you're focusing a lot on the Middle East, and in your bio, I had read that you were involved with Middle East Institute and also refugee services. So your activity and your, has really given you a broad spectrum of study and actually social services and social work. So I would love you to elaborate a little bit on the Middle East Institute.
Sure.
and and what your involvement was with them.
Yeah, sure. So I think sort of the short answer on that is my life as a dancer and my life as an anthropologist are at this point intimately intertwined. I really would not have had one, I don't think, without the other. Now, I started as a dancer. When I moved to Atlanta, it was because of a dance gig. And then I stayed to do my graduate degree at Georgia State. My thesis and the field work for my thesis came because I was working in Middle Eastern restaurants. And I was hearing the owners talk about how how Americans didn't understand the Middle East, and they all thought that they were belly dancers and terrorists, and everybody rode a camel, and blah blah. Okay, now at the same time, though, these are the same restaurant owners, though, that were hiring me. So clearly, they had a belly dancer at their establishment, and you walk in their establishment, and it's tented, and there are cushions. So you're walking into this den of exoticism with an owner who's complaining about how exotic Americans think they are. So, okay, so whose team are we playing for here? That was really my first question, and that's where all of this really started for me. So the impetus for my master's thesis really came from that question. Exactly. That creation of an identity, that play, because it's very obvious that creation of Arab American here in this country is very much part and parcel with what sort of mainstream America identifies as the Middle East. You have to deal with the stereotypes. So how do you deal with it? So that was really interesting for me. So that idea has really carried over into lots and lots of arena for me. So when I picked up new dances, this is always in mind, is what's the identity of this dance? How is it constructed? How is it? It's not simply being consumed by the people watching it. The people dancing it are part and parcel with this consumption, so the audience and the dancer are having a conversation with each other. Each is trying to sort of mind read the other. And this is really interesting for me. So all of that has gone hand in hand. If I had not been the dancer early on, I would have not had access to these groups. There would have been no reason for me to go to Egypt. There would have been no reason for me to be at a Persian wedding or at a Greek party. There would have been no reason for me to be there. I would have never had the material to start to talk about and to write about. So the Mideast Institute really was when I finished graduate school, and it was really sort of my first big job outside of graduate school. And from there, that was Georgia State. From there, I went into teaching. And am now at, as I said, Kennesaw State. Refugee Family Services was one of those things that I did in grad school and got working because if nothing else, an anthropologist learns how to talk to somebody and get a good story out of them. But again, I'm also meeting these people, so it's all kind of tied together. These are the same people that I'm dancing for and with. So their stories become very, very important to me. Every dance that I've learned there's somebody who started that dance for me. If it was Tony and his Zabehiko, or Ramsey and his Oriental, or Simon and his Debki, or Shaheen and his Baba Karam, or whatever it was. There's somebody who's attached to this dance for me. So one really goes hand in hand with the other. Now, more recently, at Kennesaw State, I've been developing a study abroad to Lebanon after my recent work in Lebanon, so I'm hoping that's going to go well. But continuing on with that refugee resettlement and those that kind of interest, we just made a connection between Kennesaw State and a refugee resettlement group in Atlanta. So that's really exciting for me. So it's strange, but they are interconnected in their own peculiar little ways. So one really very much feeds and informs the other.
Well, thank you so much for your work and for your dedication and your study. that allows us, to reap those benefits. But also, it is very integrated, and I'm so glad that we are in this whole other world here in America, and we don't see so much. We have a Hollywood version of what's happening, and so working with the refugee services, you can really bring it to home, like what's happening right now and what's led up to it, and hopefully that'll inspire more people to do more research and really learn about the cultural context of where these dances come from. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for watching Dance with Alia. And please go to her website and find out how to access this CD. And we look forward to any future workshops that you teach here in LA.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.